Hi, this is K-Bar user. Just want to talk to you a little bit tonight about guns, knives, stuff like that. First off, a lot of debate about knives. Is this knife the best? Is that knife the best? Is this knife... Let's just stop here. Whatever knife you feel comfortable using, whether it be a Swiss Army knife, whether it be a cold steel kukri machete, that's the knife you're going to carry with you. The knife you're going to carry with you is your survival knife when you're lost or when you need to survive. I can tell you what I like to carry, and this is what I like to carry. Anything from a 5-inch to a 7-inch blade. Anything below a 5-inch really doesn't cover a whole lot as far as major cutting is concerned. I don't baton knives. I don't advocate the use of batoning knives. Anything over a 7-inch is really starting to get unwieldy. That's just my personal opinion. And believe me, I do have 9 and 10-inch blade knives that I love to use. But if I'm out hunting and I'm just, walking around the woods or whatever, I carry a medium-sized knife, 5.5 to 7.5 inches. 5.5 to 7 inches. I also carry a Swiss Army knife with me constantly. And, well, when I was at a service, I would have a fighter with me. But I'm no longer in the service, and I don't need a fighting knife, so I have 2 knives with me at any one time, and that would be a Swiss Army knife and my hunting knife. On the subject of hunting knives, once again, it's a matter of personal preference. You can use something like this. This is a bulldozer K-Bar. Dozier design. It's got a 6-inch blade. Okay, well, it's a hunting knife. It's a medium-sized knife. I can use it for hunting. It's not too unwieldy. I can also use it to chop good with. It's a combat knife. Most of my knives are combat knives because of the durability factor. Hunting knives are made for hunting and skinning game. If I'm going out in the woods, I want a knife that's going to serve 2 purposes. Remember, multiple purpose. Number 1, it's got to be durable enough to survive. Number 2, it does what any other knife in the world does. It cleans game. I've hunted squirrels with an 8-inch knife. I had no problem. I've hunted squirrels with a 3-inch blade. I had no problems. So, that's knives. What it boils down to is you carry a decent sized blade that you're comfortable with, and when you get lost, that's going to be your survival knife, so make sure it's durable before you get stuck out there with a El Cheapo pocket knife that's just not going to cut it. Now, as far as guns, I personally myself, I believe everybody that heads in the woods should have some kind of defensive weapon with them. I.e., gun. There's no perfect survival gun. There's no perfect anything. It's just like a knife. Let's just run the gambit of, 22s. I love them. Everybody knows that. They're great in the daytime when you can see what you're shooting at. It takes a certain skill set to be able to shoot them well and hit game. And the ammunition is really light. So a lot of pros with that gun. A lot of cons with that gun too. The ammunition's really light. It is a very underpowered cartridge for anything above, I would say, a raccoon. Not that it wouldn't be lethal, but if I'm going to shoot something, I want it down in one shot. You can shoot a deer, it's going to be lethal, but you might have to track them 10 miles with it. So running up from there, you go to, say, 410. I have a Savage 410 22 over and under combo gun. I absolutely love it. It's killed everything that moved, including deer with slugs. But it's still, you're using a very underpowered shotgun shell and you're using a very underpowered rifle shell. Will it do? Sure it will. If that's the gun you have with you when you get lost, that'll work. It'll get you your food. It'll provide you a certain measure of protection. So from 410s, we go directly to 20 gauges. 20 gauge shotgun is great. I have 2 of them. They're a 62 caliber slug. They shoot buckshot, they shoot birdshot, they shoot most everything you want to shoot with them. Now the ammunition is going to get kind of weighty and it's going to get bulky. So instead of carrying 122s in your pocket, you might only be able to carry 25 20 gauges. Which most guys don't carry that many anyway, but I'm just saying. So, you know, it'll fire, like I said, fire buckshot for your camp defense. It'll fire slugs with the right choking. It'll fire birdshot for small game. So it's not a bad choice. Because shotguns, yeah, it takes a certain bit of skill to hit with them, but a lot less skill than it takes with a 22. And it'll take down a bigger variety of game. Anything from a chipmunk to a deer. Even a bear you could take down with a 20 gauge. Proper shot placement. From there you got a 16, which is basically non-existent anymore, but I absolutely love 16 gauge shotguns. It's all the power of a 12 gauge, the recoil of about a high brass 20. On the other hand, finding shells for them are like pulling teeth. So even though I have one here, I very rarely use it because I just can't find shells for it. Nice guns though. And once again, you have the whole variety of shells. Slugs, buckshot, birdshot. Kill everything in the woods. Go from a 16 to a 12. Now, 12 gauges are probably the most popular shotgun in the world. And I'm not saying you have to use a single barrel, you don't have to use a pump, you don't have to use a double barrel. I prefer doubles and singles. With a 12 gauge, you can kill anything in North America with a slug. They're just devastating round. You got your option of buckshot, you got your option of fine shot. It'll get all the food for you and all the camp defense you want. Why I keep mentioning camp defense is a simple fact that if you're in your camp in the middle of the night, something comes walking through, you got a 22. Let's just say. If you don't have a good flashlight, or you need proper equipment on that 22 to be able to hit right. It takes a big skill set to be able to hit with a rifle properly. If you want to just spray and pray, well, then you're going to hit something, but the chances are you're not going to kill, say, like a coyote, wild dog, something like that. God forbid you run into a rabid animal. It might kill something like a possum or a porcupine, something like that, but, at night. So at night, I strongly suggest if you're going out on an overnighter or whatever, you carry a shotgun with you. Whether it be a 20 gauge or a 12 gauge. 410 ain't going to do much for you in the way of... it's going to get you food, it's a great survival weapon, but it's not going to do much as defense in a camp at night. So my suggestion would be, just like with knives, it's your personal opinion. My suggestion would be you either get a 20 gauge or you get a 12 gauge. And carry a variety of shells. Whether it be number 4 buck in the 12 and number 3 buck for your 20 gauge, or 7.5 load bird loads and slugs or whatever. There's a wide variety of shells out there you can carry to suit the area you're in. If you live in an area where there's really no predators, very little coyotes, very little wild dogs, and no bears, some states are like that. Well, then you can get by with a 410 probably, because there's really no defense except for two-legged defense at that point. If you live in an area where there's any kind of predators, whether it be coyotes, wild dogs, bears, I would suggest either 20 or 12. Carry some slugs, carry some buckshot, and carry some small game rounds. So that's just my opinion on knives and guns for our bushcrafting woodsmanship world. So this is K-Bar User. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And y'all have a Merry Christmas.